Hello, I am Lacy Durham, the current chair of the ABA section of Civil Rights and Social Justice. I am thrilled today to be the host of a special edition of the ABA section in Civil Rights and Social Justice Chair Chat, which are conversations with legal scholars, impassioned professionals, thought leaders, and advocates committed to fighting for justice, protecting our democracy, and upholding the rule of law. Today, we have a very special guest, Mike Byowitz, who is a long-time ABA bar leader, astute attorney and philanthropist, and a dear friend of the section, who's going to share more about a special opportunity to change the lives of others. Now, before we get started with our conversation, I want to thank our incomparable staff for all of their hard work and dedication to ensuring these chair chats go well. Thank you to Paula Shapiro, our executive director, Allie Kilsgard, and Bree Jones for their service. Now, Mike, I think we're ready to get started.
That sounds great.
Give us a little bit about your background.
First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. It's really an honor to address the Civil Rights and Social Justice section. I've been a longtime member of the House of Delegates and have seen how much great work the section has done there, and it's greatly appreciated. By way of background, I'm a former partner for more than 30 years at Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz in New York. I've been of counsel there for the past 8 years and counting. I'm currently a delegate at large in the ABA House of Delegates. I'm a former member of the ABA Board of Governors, and I'm a past chair of the ABA International Law Section. I'm here today in my capacity as chair of what we call the ABA, well, I should put it this way. I'm chair of an ABA task force that created and is implementing what we call the ABA Afghan Legal Professional Scholarship and Mentoring Pilot Program. If anybody has a great acronym for that, we're all ears because we haven't come up with one. It's a long title, but the title covers what we do.
Well, wow. First of all, what an incredible leadership service record. I'm excited to learn more about the ABA Afghan pilot program. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about it?
Okay, well, that would be great. Thank you. The pilot program is designed to breathe new life into the careers of judges, lawyers, and prosecutors, especially women, who fled Afghanistan, lost nearly everything in the wake of the fall of Kabul, which, as you recall, was in August of 2021. And we honor these heroic Afghan legal professionals who seek to continue work advancing the values of justice and democracy that they worked for in Afghanistan. And we support their journeys to practice law in the United States.
Wow. So I know I am very protective about my right to practice law, and I can only imagine these professionals who are now in the US and are seeking to continue to advance themselves. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the pilot program specifically helps Afghan legal professionals become lawyers in the US?
Well, we assist Afghan legal professionals, and as I said, especially women, in a number of meaningful ways. We have dedicated pilot program volunteers who serve as mentors to Afghan legal professionals who are seeking to qualify to become lawyers in the United States by earning an LLM degree, which, as you know, is a one-year degree as opposed to the 3-year JD, and then passing a bar exam in one of several U.S. jurisdictions that allow foreign lawyers to sit for their bar exams with an LLM degree from an ABA accredited law school. To date, we've mentored applicants who are studying for the bar exam in 3 of those jurisdictions. There are about 7. But the ones that we've specifically focused on to date, because we have mentee fellows there studying for the bar exam, are New York, California, and Wisconsin. In addition to that, we have 24 law schools across the country that partner with us. And to be a partner, a law school needs to commit to offer at least one full tuition scholarship in a given year to an Afghan legal professional who they deem in their unilateral determination, it's entirely up to them, meets their qualifications for their LLM program. And the way we do it, to be honest with you, is we will submit the person, our applicant goes through the same process as everybody else. We just let the law school know this is the one, if it's one full tuition scholarship, and they get to make a yes or no decision, which simplifies the process for them. Because we're not presenting them with 7 people and say, pick one. We're saying, here's the one. And lastly, to the extent that funding permits, the task force awards modest need-based stipends. And when I say modest, it's $25,000 for the duration of the LLM program. It goes to qualified Afghan legal professionals attending LLM programs on full tuition scholarships that they've obtained through the pilot program. The stipends help cover housing and living expenses, and the funds that we raise are used exclusively for that.
So Mike, I'm going to have some follow-up questions here, and we're going to get into some of them, I'm sure, later. But let me see if I can backtrack a little bit. How did this pilot program come about? I understand the why, but how did this come together?
Well, that's an interesting story. It started because, as a former chair of the International Law Section, I learned about a program in early November of 2021, a virtual program. I forget what the title of it was, but it was on the plight of Afghan women judges. And I learned during the program that there were something like 270 Afghan women judges out of about 1,100 judges in Afghanistan. So it was about 25%, which was great. And it showed that our being there for 20 years had made a difference in the lives of people there and the professional lives of people there. But I asked 2 questions at the end of the program. And I should say, by the way, the program was organized by 2 committees of the International Law Section, one of which was chaired by Dana Katz, who subsequently became the vice chair of our task force. And the other was chaired by Linda Bernan, I should say Colonel Linda Bernan or Judge Linda Bernan, who subsequently became our mentor coordinator. But anyway, at the end of the program, I asked 2 questions, which I will never do again. The 2 questions were, number one, I know what we've been doing. I know what others have been doing to get these judges out of Afghanistan. And there have been a lot of effort in that regard. For example, the Polish Air Force, if you can imagine this, sent a plane to Afghanistan in August of 2021 and took out a whole bunch of Afghan women judges and provided them with temporary residence in Poland. And others were evacuated to the Emirates humanitarian city in Abu Dhabi, for example, had 1,100 Afghan refugees at one point. And I said, I also know that the ABA itself has been doing a lot to help these people, once they're in these third countries, get into the United States and get resettled in the United States. But my first question was, what are they going to do for work once they get here? These are highly qualified people. I respect the people who drive Ubers. I respect the people who clean apartments. But that is not the best utilization of these people's time and skills for them or for us. And the panelists, who were all American women judges, for no fault of their own, didn't have an answer to that question. So my next question was, can they qualify to become lawyers through an LLM degree? Well, it turned out through my work in the International Law Section, I knew more about foreign lawyers and LLM degrees than any of the panelists did. So my next step was to reach out to the then president of the ABA, Reggie Turner, and the then executive director of the ABA, Jack Rives, and ask them, are we doing anything in this specific area? And the answer was no. So my next question was, can I? And the answer was yes. So I went to Nancy Stafford, who at the time was the chair of the international law section, and I said, this is international. We should be doing this. She agreed and formed a working group, which became the task force. We then developed what we now call the pilot program and presented it to the ABA Board of Governors, which approved the pilot program contingent on the task force raising all of the funds required for it. So we have been working hard, and all of the mentors, all of that. We have been working very hard to do that ever since that was approved in June of 2022.
Wow. So many things. What I love about this additional background is that there was initially a program where we saw a need, we wanted to highlight something, and then we realized that there was a gap. And you boldly stood up and addressed the need that was there in collaboration with a lot of people. It makes me extremely proud to see how all of this has come together, and more importantly, aligning people's true skill set. I love the fact that you said these are skilled professionals, right? Aligning them with something that they can continue to do to earn earnest wages and continue to keep their skill set up. So now I've got to ask you, what have you been able to accomplish so far?
Well, I just want to add one thing about when I spoke to and we couldn't have done this without the help of Reggie and without the okay of Reggie and Jack Rives, Reggie Turner and Jack Rives. But I've always said that the reason we're doing this is we in the American legal community have a moral obligation to help these people if they've made it to the U.S., become lawyers in the U.S., because the reason they lost everything is that they worked in a system that we helped create and maintain, that sought to bring the rule of law to a place where it had been absent for most of its history. And they've suffered immensely for that. And these are people, some of them had to stand in sewers for 24 hours holding their children because they're, for 24 hours. If you can imagine holding a child for 24 hours, I can't. To get on a plane to get out of Afghanistan. And some of them couldn't get out then and was constant fear of their lives for weeks or months afterwards until they were finally able to get out. But to answer your question, Lacy, to date, we have a total of 10 Afghan legal professionals who have been admitted to ABA-approved U.S. LLM programs on full tuition scholarships through the efforts of the pilot program and on their own merits. These include 2 who have already graduated from LLM programs and are currently studying for the bar exam. 1 from Northwestern Pritzker School of Law in Chicago, and the other from University of St. Thomas School of Law in Minneapolis. We also have 7 currently in LLM programs, 1 at Duke, 2 in the DC area, 1 at, I always call it GW, but George Washington University School of Law, 1 at American University, Washington College of Law. We have 2 in New York State, 1 at Albany Law School, which is an independent law school in Albany, of all places, and 1 is Syracuse University College of Law. We have 1 in Loyola University, New Orleans College of Law, 1 at Loyola Marymount Law School in Los Angeles. And by the way, I want you to know, I've learned many things in connection with the pilot program. But one of the things I learned is that there are 4 universities in the United States that are called Loyola University. And they are completely unaffiliated with each other, except they're all named for the same saint. And I know that because Loyola University New Orleans reached out to us and said, we have someone that we've already admitted on a partial scholarship. Could you take them? And I said, oh, you're calling because of Loyola Marymount. I said, oh, no, we have nothing to do with Loyola Marymount. But in any event, on that one, when they said they had a partial scholarship, I said, well, we have a problem with that. And they said, what is it? And I said, well, we only partner with law schools that give full tuition scholarships. So you have to give a full tuition scholarship if you want to partner with us. We'd love you to do it, but you have to do that. And the dean came back to me a couple of days later and said, okay, full tuition scholarship. So that's great. And I should mention, because I've only mentioned 9 so far, we have one who is not in law school yet, who is starting at Loyola Marymount on a full tuition scholarship in Los Angeles in August. But I want to add that we have many more Afghan legal professionals who would benefit from the pilot program, but we need more mentors to help those who are ready to apply to law school.
Like this is impressive. So first of all, congratulations and kudos to the task force for making such great progress. I mean, the laundry list of LLM programs in law schools is certainly impressive. As a follow-up to that, how do you partner with those law schools? Can you give us some insight on, kind of what that pitch is? And I know you mentioned that, there are 10, and I'm sure there are many more that could benefit from this. Can you also talk about how can Afghan professionals get admitted into the pilot program to benefit from such a wonderful program to advance
Well,
themselves?
in terms of how to get admitted, I should start by saying that with one exception, which I'll get to later, the pilot program is entirely a volunteer operation. So with the one exception I'll get to, and the exception is we have some help from the ABA Fund for Justice and Education, which provides no money, but provides some help because when we solicit funds, we're not a 501c3 and they are. So we raise all the money, but they collect it and dispense it so that the contributions made to the pilot program are tax deductible. But this is a long way of getting to the answer to the second of your question. I'm not sure I remember the first at this point, but the way people have been admitted up to now, given that we're a volunteer organization and we don't have our own staff with that exception, not broadly solicited candidates because there are many Afghan legal professionals who made it to the U.S. And I should say, in order to qualify for the pilot program, you have to have been a judge, lawyer, or prosecutor in Afghanistan. You have to have left while you were in good standing under the old regime. And you have to have left Afghanistan and made it to the U.S. around the time of the fall of Kabul or afterwards. So everybody we're helping are refugees. To date, the way we've learned about candidates is 2 ways. First, early on in the pilot program, and I should say I've had no prior dealings with Afghanistan. I've never been to Afghanistan. I didn't serve in Afghanistan. Linda Mernan did. She had tours over there and all, but I have not. And I did this because of the moral obligation I felt referred to before. But I did reach out to people who knew something about Afghanistan and asked them for help, advice and all. And some of them said, oh, by the way, I have a candidate for you. And we said, great. Put them in touch with me. In order to become what we call a mentee fellow, you have to submit an application, which, even if English is not your native language, takes about 20 minutes to fill out. And it's not terribly intrusive. But, and the other way we've learned about candidates is we have a website or a web page, I should say, on the ABA website. And people have come to us through that. They found it because they're looking for help. And word gets around. Sometimes people say, you know, I reached out because somebody told me about the pilot program. Can you be of help? And every once or twice a month, for example, I'll get an email from the staff of the International Law section saying, here's another one, and that sort of thing. And but we're anxious to help mentee fellows. The limiting factor we have in helping them initially is the number of mentors we have, and we need more mentors. And I'm sorry, but I forgot your first question.
No, no worries. So my first question was, how do you partner with the law schools, the LLM programs? And what is there anything that we can do to help that, maybe as alumni, et cetera?
Well, yes, I think there is. The way we partner with the law schools is that we reach out to the law school, to the dean or the dean of admissions or the dean of graduate studies, whoever we think is the appropriate person, and ask them if they want to partner with the pilot program and explain to them what's involved, which is agreeing to provide. And in most cases, it's one. There are one or two exceptions where it's two or three, but in most cases, it's one full tuition scholarship for an academic year. And I should say we've gone back to some law schools after that academic year and said, "Hey, we've got another one. Would you?" And and so far the answer's been yes. We are not currently reaching out to more law schools because we went to the law schools before we went and had candidates. I didn't want to go to people and say, we have a program unless we had a program in place. But as a result, we have a geographic imbalance. To give you an example, we have 7 strong candidates in the DC area and 3 law schools. We have 1 strong candidate in the New York metropolitan area, and we have 4 law schools. So what we will do, and where some of your experienced lawyers, and you mentioned the word alums in particular, could help, is that if anyone is interested and think their law school would have an LLM program that focuses on U.S. law for foreign lawyers, which many law schools have, and think they might be interested, let me know, and I will reach out to them, particularly if we have a candidate in an area and don't have a law school, which we have in some places. And I should mention, these people came to the U.S., have, usually didn't come directly, were in a third country, then came to the U.S. in a camp, then had to be resettled. And almost all of them are here with either or both of young children and or parents who don't speak English, who they need to help. So they're not in a position to readily relocate, go to law school. So that's why. So if you come up with a law school, we may not jump on it right away, but we will keep that in mind and we'll come back to you. We'll let you know immediately if it's one of the ones we're looking for, an area we're looking for. But if it isn't, we will certainly get back to you as the program expands. The goal is ultimately to take out the word pilot from the program. And I should mention in that regard, our limitation right now is all of the funding we've raised comes in some instances from law firms and companies, but mostly from individuals. So at some point, once we have a proven track record, we're going to go to foundations. And anybody who has a good connection with a foundation that might be interested, please let me know, because I'm all ears. We have help with the ABA. The acronym for the Fund for Justice and Education is FJE. And we have help from the FJA in putting together applications for foundations. We really haven't done that yet, but are gearing up to do that. So any help we can get in that regard would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. I heard two call to actions there, right? There's a call to action for alumni to lean in and provide you some names and some contacts, and also an opportunity for people to lean in and increase their funding or their charitable giving opportunities, as well as put you in connection or contact with some foundations who may be able to continue to help with the charitable aspect of it. I want to also go back to something that you mentioned with regards to a limitation of the pilot program. You mentioned mentors and being able to, get the requisite number of mentors to align and pair, because I think what I understand is that is such a significant portion of the pilot program, the educational component, but also the mentorship component. Can you talk a little bit more about that part of the program?
Oh, for sure. In order to become a mentor, we require completion of a very brief mentoring application. And to be honest with you, it's exactly the same application that the Mentee Fellows submit. There are different sections for Mentee Fellows and for mentors, and you have to check a box as to which one you want to be. For native English speakers, it takes about 10 minutes to fill out. This is then, once you fill out the application, it's reviewed, and those who are qualified within the parameters set by the ABA Board of Governors are admitted, assuming we have enough. I'm sorry, I'm talking about Mentee Fellows. On mentors, it's the same process. And what I will tell you is if you sign up to be a mentor, we will jump on that application very quickly. We will approve you very quickly. In order to be a mentor, you need to be licensed to practice law in the United States, have graduated from an ABA-approved law school in the United States with an JD or an LLM, and be a member of the ABA. Okay? Those are the qualifications. I would imagine that everybody listening to this could do that if they wanted to, and I hope many of them will, because the one limitation we have on the number of Mentee Fellows we can accept is the number of mentors we have. And we have more demand than we have supply. We have more demand for Mentee Fellows than we have supply of mentors, so we need more mentors. Everyone that I've mentioned before, those 10 who are in law school or have graduated from law school, have mentors. A number of others who are getting ready to apply to law school have mentors, but there are many others who could use the help.
Perfect. And we started briefly talking about, the comprehensive mentorship program and, the two different components of it. Can you lean in a little bit more and explain the two-tier approach to the mentor and the pilot program and give us more information about what it really entails?
Yes, I'd be very happy to do that. The first tier is what we call Preparatory Assistance Mentoring, and we do have an acronym for that, PAM. And the other one, which I'll get to in a minute, is SAM. So we can do acronyms, at least in some places.
Some parts.
PAM is without financial assistance to help people before they get admitted to LLM programs on full tuition scholarships. So it's those preparing to pursue an LLM degree, including help with the preparation of their application. Mm-hmm. They write the application, but we review it and give them some feedback on it. We do provide some help. We're not an employment agency, but where we can, if the mentor has some ideas or whatever in that area, we point them to non-lawyer capacity jobs that they might take while they're getting ready to go to law school, because these folks need money. Mm-hmm. And, to be a paralegal would be a much better utilization of their time than what they could get otherwise. And just to complete this, the second tier, or SAM, is scholarship and mentoring services. And that is limited to people who've been admitted to LLM programs on full tuition scholarships through the pilot program. And what we do with them is we help them, we answer questions that they have as they go through law school. We answer questions that they have as they get ready to sit for the bar exam. And we help them also in those states, for example, New York has this, where you need a predetermination of eligibility to sit for the bar exam from the New York Board of Law Examiners. We'll help them with those applications.
So what I love about this two-tiered approach is that it is very robust, right? Navigating the system here to become barred and licensed is not for the faint at heart. And it sounds like the mentoring program provides some very good support for both aspects of it. But I've got to ask you, because we've talked about some of the other challenges, particularly individuals who are not English speaking or that's not their first language. Does the pilot program provide any additional support for Afghan legal professionals beyond mentoring, beyond that traditional type of mentoring?
Yes, we do. We have a number of companies that have stepped up to become what we call volunteer service providers. And the services that I'm about to describe, in all cases, they provide free of charge to these Afghan legal professionals. And I should say also, Lacy, that every single one of our mentee fellows is not a native English speaker. None of them are.
Wow.
They all grew up. They all grew up learning Dari and or Pashto. A few of them did do. There was one law school in Afghanistan, the American University of Afghanistan, that taught its law prep courses in English, but everybody else took the law studies in Dari or Pashto. So they face challenges. What we do, and the volunteer service providers, we have a company called U.S. Law Essentials. It's 3 words, but they combined it into all 1 word. That's the name of the company. It was formed by several law professors who teach what I call legal English. That's writing and reading law in English. They've provided us podcast training for those who are admitted to the pilot program. But even more significantly, they do legal English assessments for any candidate. So when we get a mentee fellow and they fill out an application, the first thing we do is refer them to U.S. Law Essentials, and they grade them. They assess them on a scale. And this is done with an interview, with a writing portion where the student is writing while sitting there. So they know it's their writing. Right. And they and reading comprehension and all. And they grade it on a scale of 1.0 to 4.0. We've had people who've gotten 1.0 or 1.1 or 1.2. So it means they need English as a second language help. And there we'll find somebody in their area and ask that they help them. We don't have people lined up because that needs to be done in person. Everything else, including being a mentor, can be done remotely. My mentee fellows, one is in DC and one is in Baltimore, and I'm in New York. I haven't sat down with them in person yet, except I did meet one of them at an international law section meeting that he was invited to attend. But most of this is done remotely. So that's the legal English and English. We also give them online legal research training before they start law school through a company you might have heard of called LexisNexis. They have a rule of law foundation, and they've agreed to provide us, and they do this. Their strict advice to us, which we follow to the letter, is if somebody's starting law school in August, they get the training in July.
Wow.
Not while they're in law school and not months before, right before, so that the training ends right when they're starting the LLM program so that they're ready. That's great. We had a group. We had one that was done in December who started in January. We had a group that was done in July for those who started in August. We're going to have another session ready for the one I mentioned already, and hopefully some others will get admitted between now and then for August, for July from LexisNexis, and we really appreciate their help, as we do with U.S. Law Essentials. I should mention also that they then need, when they graduate, to pass the bar exam. And as we all
Absolutely.
know, you can't pass the bar exam even if you went to law school on a JD and you're a native English speaker without a bar prep course.
Right.
At least what I should say is I couldn't have passed the bar exam without that.
Same.
And we have an arrangement with Themis Bar Prep.
Mm.
And they provide actually two different things which are greatly appreciated. One is they have an extended bar prep course, and it's extended because it goes either 7 months or 12 months. And we recommend to our LLM students when they graduate, don't take the bar. If you graduate in May, don't take the bar exam in July. Take the extended bar prep course and take it in February or the following July. And the reason for that is that the passage rate for foreign, non-native English-speaking LLM students, and I'm not talking about Afghans, I'm talking about all of them from anywhere,
Wow.
is very low. You know, it's something like a third or certainly less than 50%. Whereas if you take, a bar prep course, it's like 80% or more. So they provide that. And on top of that, they have something that they call Law School Essentials, or LSE, which they provide to mentee fellows during the LLM programs.
Mm.
These include lectures and outlines. And what we recommend, we ask the mentors to recommend in all cases, is that the law student prepare their own outline and then use the Themis outline to compare for completion and accuracy. And we have one other volunteer service provider. It's a company called JurisScribe. It's all one word, JurisScribe, JRUSCRIBE.
Okay.
And what they do is when you apply for an eligibility determination, the rules in many jurisdictions require that you submit originals in English of your diploma, of your transcripts, of your license to have practiced law. Now, with very few exceptions, none of them have any of that. And most of them don't have originals to begin with because they've escaped, by the skin of, of their teeth, and they may have a copy or whatever. But what JurisScribe does is we need certified third-party English translations of certain documents, like I mentioned, and JurisScribe has agreed to provide those complimentary from the Dari or Pashto into English. So that's the other help we provide to mentee fellows.
Well, that is certainly an exhaustive list. What I am most excited about is that this is truly a comprehensive approach to setting an Afghan professional up to be successful in passing the bar exam. Not only the preparatory mentorship and the scholarship mentorship aspect of it, but these additional support programs and partnerships seem to go very deep in terms of making sure all aspects are covered and putting the candidate in the best position. And I know we've talked a lot about the Afghan legal professionals or the mentee fellows here, but let's quickly shift gears and talk about the mentors, the individuals who are going to be providing that support. I love that you mentioned that you had two mentee fellows, but as a mentor, do I really need to know it all in order to effectively serve or to volunteer? Is there any additional support for someone like me that maybe I don't know where to start?
Absolutely, there is. Uh, we have mentor resources. We have a set of materials that we will provide. We provide general mentoring guidance, including from our mentor coordinator, Linda Mernan, who I've mentioned already, who serves as our mentor's mentor.
Mhm.
We have networking opportunities with other mentors. So if you're asked a question you don't know the answer to, it's perfectly fine to tell the mentee fellow, I don't know the answer, but I'll find the answer and get back to you. And the first place to go is the Linda and then the other mentors, because one of the other mentors may have an answer, and if not, we'll find the answer. Um, and I should mention that there are networking opportunities with other mentors, so you're not in this alone.
Mhm.
Um, and the pilot program and the mentors, it's very important I mention this. We do not perform any legal services or representation for mentee fellows, including we do not provide immigration assistance. Such services are provided by others outside the pilot program. If someone needs help, we can help them find someone, but it's not through the pilot program at that point. And we do provide, I should mention one other thing. We provide, well, two other things. When we have a group of mentors ready to start, we have a mentor prep session. And
Mhm.
uh, uh, I introduce it, but it's really our vice chair, Dana Katz, and Linda Mernan, who do most of the training. Um, and there's plenty of opportunity to ask questions then or afterwards. And the other thing that we do, the other training that we provide specifically, and it's very important that we do this, is we provide an annual trauma-informed mentoring training for mentors
Oh.
because we want mentors to be sensitive to the fact that every one of these people, no matter how tough they appear on the outside, has been through unspeakable trauma. And we have to be careful, and I shouldn't, careful is not the right word. We have to be sensitive in
Mhm.
how we phrase questions and the like, and not be overly intrusive or not say things like, why aren't you doing this? I mean, to be honest with you, to be a mentor in part is to encourage, or to use a technical term, to be a nudge, okay, to nudge
Mhm.
someone. But it has to be done in a respectful way, understanding that the people you're dealing with are people who were at the top of their, in many cases, some were younger, but in many cases they were at the top of their profession in Afghanistan. And they all did, they're all human beings. They've all been through a lot and deserve a lot of respect. It's not hard to do. I'm not one of the most sensitive people in the world, and I can do it.
Well, the more we chat, the more smitten I am with this program. Not only do the mentee fellows have the opportunity to have some robust support, but I'm also hearing that mentors do too. I love and I'm thoroughly impressed with the trauma informed mentoring that you do. I think that is important to be able to approach individuals with empathy and sympathy. Going forward. And I love that there is kind of this peer group of people, including the astute judge that is there to kind of serve as guidance and opportunities to bounce information off of. So thank you for that. So as someone who has heard all of this, I've got to ask the burning question. How much work is involved in serving as a mentor? Because I believe we're all busy professionals, but this may be tugging at my heartstring. Like what really does it take to be involved with this? How much of my time am I looking at here?
Well, what I would tell you is that I, I'm involved in other things in the ABA. The president, I'm the vice president of the American Bar Foundation, for example. So I've got a lot of other things to do. But, and I work, I mean, the pilot program is now like running a startup. Okay, so it's a full-time job for me and for the others I've mentioned. But I have two mentee fellows. What I would tell you is in order to be a mentor and do a good job, you need to devote about 2 or 3 hours a month, not a
Okay.
week, but a month. Okay. And most of that involves checking in with your mentee fellow periodically, set up an appointment. I do them, and most of the mentors do them via Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
They can see you and you can see them. And uh, ask questions how they're doing generally. Are they facing any challenges? Um, if they are facing challenges, we've had some people who've, said, for example, that they're having trouble studying because they can't get childcare. One of the members of our task force is a former president of the American Muslim Bar Association. We don't use any of the money we've raised for stipends for housing or living expenses for anything other than stipends or housing and living expenses. But he has a network. And if we have somebody in X area, he may know somebody who can get them help. And we'll
Mm-hmm.
reach out to them. So if somebody asks you for some help in that regard, say, I don't know if we can help, but ask me or Dana or Linda, and we'll get in touch with that person if and see if we can get help. We can't always, but in many cases we've been able to do that, get that kind of help. Um, and what I would say to you is those 2 or 3 hours, and I'm saying 2 or 3 hours for each mentee fellow. I have two, so maybe I do 5 hours a month. But um, it is incredibly rewarding because you develop a relationship with these people, and it's really wonderful. And they are uniformly so grateful for the help that they're getting. They always, the ones I have as mentors and the other mentees, fellows, and the other mentors have the same experience. They always thank them. They're always respectful. They always look up to their mentors. It's just really a wonderful relationship.
This is so exciting to be able to help other humans out, but also to strengthen the rule of law here and welcome more legal professionals to the bar. So, if someone is interested in becoming a mentor, or even wants more information about the program or serving as a mentor, what should they do?
Well, if they want to sign up to be a mentor, and I've provided links for all this information, but they should reach out to Leah Snipes at the ABFJE, and she will get that over to us, and we will provide then the mentoring application and get the process started. Um, and That's really all it takes. If they need more information, ask through Leah. It will come to us, and we will get in touch with those people and get them the information they need.
That is perfect. All right, just a final few questions here. I know we mentioned contributions and funds in a couple of different aspects. Can you give us the directive or more information about how someone can contribute to the pilot program? And you briefly mentioned about some housing and living expenses and funding from that. Can you share a little bit more about that and how that comes about? And then how do we donate?
Okay. Well, we've raised funds and continue to raise additional amounts to provide stipends for housing and living expenses to Afghan lawyers, judges, and prosecutors once they've been admitted to LLM programs on full tuition scholarships through the pilot program. The pilot program is run by lawyers, for lawyers. So we're counting on the U.S. legal community to help our Afghan colleagues restore their legal careers. As I've mentioned, most of our contributions come from individuals. We welcome large contributions. We welcome small contributions. $10 or $15 or $25 helps. $25,000 would help. Anything in between would help, or more. I had one person I reached out to who wasn't a lawyer, and asked if he would contribute, and he said yes, on the condition I never asked him again. And I said, okay, I won't ask you again. And he made a contribution, and I learned that the contribution was $50,000. This person's not a lawyer. Now, he has a lot of means, and I thought he might make a large contribution, but it was mind-boggling that he did that. But $25 contributions help also. It all goes for funds for housing and living expenses. When we have enough funds, and we've raised enough funds to date for just about 12 stipends, we've already got, of those 10 students I mentioned previously, who are either graduated or already in law school, 9 of the 10 qualify for stipends and are getting stipends. One goes to law school part-time and works for the university most of the time. And that one didn't need a stipend, but the other 9 needed stipends. So 9 are accounted for. We have enough for 3, but we've got more than 3 who are qualified in places where we have law schools. So we need more money. If you want to make a contribution, there is a link that I've provided. It's called AMBAR, all one word, like American Bar, ambar.org//donate ITL. And when you go there, there's a lot of different options. Just find the one. It's easy to find for Afghan legal professionals. And please specify that it's for that. And all of any funds that you contribute will be used for housing and living expenses. When people apply for the SAM part, we have a separate application for the SAM part of our mentoring program. They're already admitted on LLM programs on full tuition scholarships. We assess their need. We're pre-inclined, I should say, to approve them because they've been admitted to law schools on full tuition scholarships already. But there's a difference between being able to afford $40,000 in tuition to $75,000 in tuition, which is what law school costs these days for 1 year, versus what it takes to live on. But we look at that carefully and then grant the stipends where we have the funds. So the limiting factor there, like the limiting factor on who we admit in PAM as mentee fellows, is how many mentors we have. Here, it's how much money we have. So every dollar would be greatly appreciated and put to good use. And I should say that I've made very substantial contributions financially to this. Everybody all of our task force members have made contributions to this. We have a give and get policy within the task force because we know the foundations, one of the first questions they ask is your board of directors, do they all contribute? And the task force is our board of directors. So we ask them. I think I've answered your question, but if I haven't, please let me know.
No, you absolutely have. And we're wrapping this up, but I just have one last pressing question. I want you to do 2 things for me. Tell me, and it sounds like this is largely volunteer based, but do we have any additional support from ABA staff? And if you could leave us with some parting words around why this particular project is special and near and dear to you.
Well, thank you for both of those questions. The pilot program, as I said, is basically run by a group of volunteers who serve as task force members, or in some cases who serve as mentors and are not members of the task force. To be a member of the task force, you need to commit to attend our task force meetings, which are every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So it's not a huge commitment of time either. We receive help from the staff of the ABA, Fund for Justice and Education, the FJIA, which I indicated collects the money that the task force raises and dispenses it to candidates we select for stipends who've already received full tuition scholarships through the pilot program. And we do this, as I said, because the FJA is a 501c3. There are 2 people at the FJE staff who've been invaluable to help. I should actually mention 3. Lacy, I'm sorry, I'm going to forget her name, which I can't believe.
Leah.
No, well, no, I wasn't going to forget Leah's name, but we had one who helped who's left, and I'm forgetting her name, which I can't imagine I'm doing. But the 2 who are on staff right now and helping us are Leah Snipes, who's the director of FJE, and Jane Haldeman. And they have been invaluable in the help that they provide. We also, when we need legal advice, we get legal advice from the ABA General Counsel's office, and we're grateful for that support. But otherwise, we're on our own. For that reason, we welcome additional volunteers to serve as mentors. And as I've mentioned, we need contributions, which are greatly appreciated and are always put to good use. Not a penny of the money you contribute goes for overhead or for any other purposes. It all goes, of the 9 stipends I've already said, where we've raised enough money for and committed to, and in some cases already paid out. Every dollar of that was raised came from people who contributed, or law firms and companies who contributed. And all of it is put to good use because it supports these people. And in terms of the parting words, what I'd say is just a reminder of some things I've already said. Serving as a mentor is extremely rewarding. Making a contribution is extremely rewarding. Not quite as rewarding as being a mentor because you don't have that give and take with a mentee fellow. But you've done something that helps people who are in the predicament they're in because they worked in a system that helped bring the rule of law to a place where it had been absent basically forever. And if people like you and me don't have an obligation to help them, who does? So,
Mike, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you did not cut me off. Thank you.
I really want to thank you for your time today and sharing this urgent call to action. I've heard a couple of things to share that we can do personally, right? We can share our law school alumni contacts and our influence directly with you in the task force. We can lean into mentorship opportunities that are generally 2 to 3 hours a month. And importantly, we can donate specifically to the Afghan legal professionals cause. Certainly the section of civil rights and social justice continues to lean into our mission. I am definitely proud to be a part of the community dedicated to advancing equality, fairness, and justice for all. We have highlighted an important opportunity today through this chair chat, and I truly hope that this conversation inspires others to take action, get involved, and continue learning about how we can all contribute. If you are not already a member, I encourage you to join our section, stay involved, stay informed, take advantage of the opportunities to network with other like-minded individuals and help make a tangible difference. I encourage people, please don't forget to subscribe, share this episode broadly with your network, and visit our website for more ways that you can get involved. Mike has also shared some critical links that you will have an opportunity and additional information to peruse. And so until next time, stay engaged and keep pushing forward for progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much.